receive that check.
I love that intro. It's really it's fun and very Witch Jodi-ish. Hey, everybody, this is Tea Time with Witch Jodi. I'm Kelly, publisher of Edge Magazine. And you know what? I'm going to be the Wizard of Oz tonight. She has an amazing interview. Please pop in live if you guys want to with any questions. And without further ado, I'm going to disappear and Witch Jodi, enjoy.
Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's having a fabulous day today. Obviously, today is the 22nd of April, and we all know that means it is Earth Day. So I hope you guys got outside and did a little gardening or cleaning up or whatever it is you did to celebrate the Earth. I know I did a little gardening today. What did you do today, Renee?
You know, I took a long walk. I didn't actually do gardening yet. It's also the peak of the Lyrid meteor shower today.
Yes. I'm going to go out and watch it.
I'm kind of wearing my Moldavite and my Libyan desert glass, those meteorite stones that are made by hitting meteorites. So, yeah.
Well, without further ado, everybody, I have got the beautiful Renee Valois on tonight, and she is the stunning author of the book called Collecting Spirits, Life with Ghosts, Guardians, and Guides. And this is what it looks like. Oop, I got to turn it just right. Wonderful book. I have read this and I love it. I got to meet Renee. Oh my gosh, when did we meet? January, maybe?
Oh, yeah, it's probably February. Yeah.
Well, it was, you know what? It was January because February we did your book signing here.
Okay. Yeah, the book came out the end of January, so it must have been around that time. Yeah.
And oh my gosh, it was fabulous. Oh, the people that came, it was wonderful. But I want to jump in. We got to talk about this book. In the very beginning of the book, you talk about the reason why you wrote it. And one of the things that being a nurse myself and seeing this, firsthand, I wanted to, commend you for this because you wrote the book because so many people are afraid of death. And that is so true. And what a great way to kind of dispel that fear a little bit. So tell me a little bit about why you came up with this wonderful idea to write this book.
Well, I don't know if I should talk about how I did not believe in ghosts initially. I was always told ghosts aren't real, they don't exist, there's just made up stories. And then I had a very dramatic poltergeist experience. Should I describe that?
Sure, absolutely. This is all about you tonight, dear.
Okay. I was lying naked on a massage table, cushion massage table with just a thin sheet over me as you are when that's happening. And there was a counter across the room with a metal tray on it with a bunch of cosmetic tools on the tray. Nobody was in the room but the massage therapist and me. And suddenly in the middle of the massage, that tray flies off the counter and lands on the ground with a loud crash. And I'm like, what the heck? And the massage therapist is like, oh, that's like the second or third time that's happened, always with women. The guys get a little excited. And I'm looking around going, guys, there's no guys here. And she said, well, this building used to be a Masonic temple and some of the guys have stuck around. It's haunted.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what? I was like, okay, I had never believed in ghosts, but suddenly my whole perspective went like that, just turned upside down. And I started asking her questions and it turned out the place was very haunted. Which was pretty exciting. And after that, I started thinking, well, nobody's ever told me they had a ghost experience. Is this really rare? So I started asking people. I would say I had a paranormal experience once to let them feel at ease and know I might believe them. And have you anything like that ever happened to you? Over and over, people would say, I've never told anyone this because I was afraid they'd think I was crazy. And then they tell me an amazing experience. So I started collecting people's experiences.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
That's why I call it collecting spirits. I started collecting everyone's experiences. I wasn't planning to write a book at that time, but I got so many over time. And I also did a lot of research and went to a lot of haunted locations and took classes and just learned a ton. And then I thought I should really share this. People are afraid of death. Some people are afraid to ghosts.
Mhm.
And also I wanted to open the doorway for people to feel comfortable telling their stories, to not feel like, oh, I can never tell anyone this because they'll think I'm crazy, you know, and they
And I
hold it.
love that. I love that what you're saying there, because so many people keep it to themselves because they think people are going to think they're crazy. I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many people. So I teach a class and it's called Mediumship, Walking Beyond the Veil. And we'll go into that in a bit. But so many people think they're crazy. And that's one of the things I tell people. Did I hear that? Am I crazy? Am I hearing myself speak? Or is that really a spirit? 9 times out of 10, you're hearing a spirit. If you really listen to the way the words are being pronounced, it's not being said in a manner that you would speak it, or the dialect might be a little different. There might be a little bit of an accent. There's something more to it. But people really are afraid that people are going to think they're nuts, because for so many years we have been told, you know, quit talking about that. It's kind of a taboo thing. And I feel over the last, I don't know, maybe 20 years or so, Renee, don't you feel it's becoming more acceptable since like the ghost hunter, go like Taps and the Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures, all these different shows have come out, and now people are more intrigued by it. People are more okay with hearing about it. And so it's not quite so taboo.
It isn't, but still, I am still collecting stories. When I go do events and signings and stuff, people will tell me their stories, and I write down a lot of those. And people still, I mean, I put a new one every week on my website. Every week,
love that.
new true story, so people can just for free go see them. But people will still say, "Don't give my name," or just use the first initial of my first name. Some people are okay with my first name, their first name.
And I love that, because in the book, you guys, she does a great job. She protects everybody. She'll use aliases, that kind of stuff, so that if you don't want your story to be outed, that's okay. I mean, she did a great job. You did this one. I'm going to pick out one that kind of, it was about Pat. We're going to say, we're going to just leave it at that. But it was during COVID time, and everybody was already feeling so isolated. And it was right around Christmas, and this individual, Pat, had passed on. So it was a very beautiful story, and I'd love for you to tell the audience just a little smidgen of it, so they kind of get, tease a little bit into wanting to know more about
is this Pat, my mother-in-law that you're talking about? Yes. She was, we called her the Queen of Christmas because she grew up very poor. So every Christmas, I mean, she would spend all year shopping for Christmas and give us tons of gifts on Christmas, way too many, like stuff we didn't need. But she ended up dying during COVID, Christmas Eve. She suddenly had a stroke. She died on the way to the hospital in a ambulance, which was really sad and really hard. And I had talked to a woman who is I call a ghost psychic. She can see ghosts everywhere all the time since she was born. If there's a ghost there, she sees them and she can talk to them. And so
I understand that very well.
Yeah. So I got on Zoom with her after Pat had passed and said, "Is she around? Did she stick around?" Because I did know that my father-in-law had stuck around waiting for her because he had died many years earlier. Well, there was another ghost in our house, a young guy, that I changed the name of because his parents are still alive and don't know that he's been hanging around. And he told us that she had gone into the light with her husband. So he had seen them or had experienced it and was able to tell us that she'd gone into the light. My husband was very happy to hear that because his father had been hanging around. And now they both went into the light. And you're supposed to go into the light when you die, but we all have free will. Even when we die, we have free will. So we can stay here if we want,
Yes, and that's true. And that's so true. So many people don't understand that. And so I'm glad that you're bringing that forward and explaining that.
Yeah. So, I mean, free will is really important. How can we be anything if we don't have free will? I mean, we're just puppets otherwise. So, but I think everyone eventually will go into the light because it's,
They do. Some are afraid. And being a medium and being able to do this my whole life, some of the things that I've encountered over time where people haven't crossed over yet, one of the things that I have learned is they're afraid because maybe they have felt they've sinned or done something inappropriate in this lifetime. And so they're afraid of going to the fiery brimstone, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And that's not what is going to happen. You do go across that veil. And I like to call it, it's like you can call it the pool of reflection, however you want to deem it. But you have a moment where you actually relive your life. And there is scientific proof, and I'm coming from the nursing aspect, there's actual scientific proof that the first 7 minutes after the human body dies, when the brain is actually ceased, there's still activity in the brain, and it's you reliving your most fondest memories of your lifetime. So it's almost like this pool of reflection. So you get to go back and you almost like relive your life, but you get to see it from another person's standpoint, not from your own perspective. And it kind of gives you that sense of balance. So when I work with people in mediumship, I always tell people it's kind of like you're going to your therapist when you die. So you have to do the work on that side too. Walking beyond the veil, you would talk about that in your book. You know, being beyond the veil is when somebody has ascended or gone to heaven or through spirit to the light.
To the light, yeah.
Yes.
To the other side, to the veil.
You can do that. You know, talking about your book again and, you know, going through it, a lot of people will ask you to, and not you necessarily, but people to move the spirit on. I personally won't do that. And there's a reason for that. They are there because they want to be there. Now, if the spirit asks me, hey, I'm really confused about what's going on. Can you help me? I can explain what has happened. I can help them either create a doorway to go through, to cross through into the light, or they'll find the light on their own. But some people don't want to go yet. It's not our place to move them. And so many people don't quite understand that because they think that it's a travesty that they haven't moved on. But again, a lot of times they don't want to. They've gone across, they've come back because they like something here. As you well know from the stories that you have gathered over time, you know, you have a cute one, and it was about a little bit, I think it's a little Victorian girl.
I'm not sure which one you're referring to right now, to be honest.
There was a little girl in the old house, and she's like attached to the sleigh.
That's mine. That's mine. It's not somebody else's story. It's mine.
Well, see, I don't want to give away too much.
That's fine. I bought this antique Victorian push sleigh that was used to push kids around in the Victorian era, but I have some antique dolls and I thought they'd be really cute in this sleigh. So I bought it on Facebook Marketplace, and I had to remove the handle to get it to fit in my car, put the seat down, and it fit. As soon as the woman who had sold it to me went into her house, I sat down in my car, and the garage door opener popped off the visor where it was. It didn't fall on the ground. It just hit me hard on the face. And I was like, what? If it had fallen off, the clip, it had never fallen off before, but if it had fallen off, it should have fallen just right down to the ground. Instead, it went flying off onto my forehead. And I immediately knew that there was something coming with that sleigh. So I said, okay, if there's someone, attached with the sleigh, it's okay if you come, that's fine. I just don't want you causing any problems. Otherwise, you're fine. I did have some problems after that, so I had to talk to them and say, cut it out. The thing that bothered me the most was at work. My work phone started randomly calling people. I was calling them. It would call people, and I'd be like, I didn't call you. And they're like, what? I'm like, what do you do when it keeps calling people and you're not trying to call them? And I talked to the tech guy, and he goes, I said, can you stop this? He goes, I have no idea why it's doing that. I can't. I don't know what to do about that. I can't stop it. It's like,
that's not good. That's not
good. So they can be a problem. And when I have had problems with ghosts, I usually talk to them and say, cut it out now. Cut it out. One ghost that caused problems, I actually told him to stop it, or I would banish him out of the place.
Ooh, how did they take that?
Pardon me?
How did they take that?
They stopped doing it. They stopped doing the problem behavior. So they didn't want to be banished. And there are things you can do to make it uncomfortable for a ghost so that they're not forced to go onto the other side, but they might not want to stick around your house.
Or they become a little bit more quiet and tolerant of the humans still there. There's a lot of times people are attached to the home. Maybe they've built the home. So people who come through here at Midwest Witchery and Healing, they know of our resident spirit. His name is Joseph, and he's a very dapper man from the late 1800s. And he was from a well-to-do family, like a banking type family here in the Twin Cities area. And he liked to do woodworking. It was just a hobby, but his family wanted him. And I've had this conversation with the deceased. This is how I know this, and I did a little research. But he really liked to create things. So I'm going to do the best I can. So bear with the mess, okay? I don't know what way to go. I guess I got to go this way. Can you see my banister right there. Okay, so the
A
banister.
little bit of it.
I can't point to it, but you get the drift. He actually helped craft that. And he's so very proud of it. So he's stuck here. He's not from Stillwater. He's from, Minneapolis, St. Paul area. However, he was so proud of everything he did with his banister and making this for his home, that when they deconstructed the home, they were condemning the home at one point, and when they built this building and brought in all these different pieces of antiques. And so his banister came in. And one day he's talking about this, and I knew that he was being honest about everything, but I thought, okay, all right, you're kind of poo-pooing it off. And then he said, I need you to come upstairs. I need you to come and see this thing. You're going to see this ding. I dropped this, he had dropped like a chisel, and he had put a dent, like a dig, in his craftsmanship. And he was really bummed about it. And he wanted to show that to me. And it was him showing me validation that it had actually happened, and that what he was saying was true. And darned if it isn't there. I mean, it really is there. And I'm like,
that's great. I love it.
It's a great experience when they come in and chit chat with you. I mean, I've got stories from forever and ever, as do many people, I'm sure. One of my favorite stories is, oh my gosh, we're going to go back to the mid 1990s. And I was working downtown St. Paul. I was still with US Bank. It was before I was a nurse. And I was working in the Endicott building, downtown St. Paul. So all these buildings down there, the railroad buildings, the bank buildings, all that, they're all granite. So I'm right on 4th and 5th, like between 4th and 5th on Jackson Street. And so you come in and it's all this beautiful granite, and it's just like, it's a block long and then another block long. There's nothing in between. And I worked on the 5th floor. So I would come in on 5th or 4th Street, and I would walk basically all the way up to 5th Street, almost a full block, and then down this inside corridor. Everything is granite, gorgeous. Now I want you to think about the 1990s. Little witch boots were coming back in style, like the little boot things in the hills, the longer skirt about mid-calf. You would have, like and it was winter time. It was like late winter, early spring. So carrying an umbrella, downtown was very normal, with like a wool coat where it had the higher waist, almost like the Empire waist, double breasted, the suits were all double breasted. All of us remember that. Thank God that that's not a style anymore. And I'm walking toward this woman, and she's walking toward me. And, this is like 6:15 in the morning. So I was a very early person down there. And as we're walking, she looked normal, and just like you and I mean, like full body apparition. Okay. Didn't know she was a ghost. And as I'm walking by, I said good morning to her, and she just smiled and she just nodded, and she kept going. And I took probably another 7-8 steps, and I realized, wait a minute. I don't hear her echoing of her feet on the granite like mine. And I'm like, what? And I whipped around and I ran, down, because there was nothing there. It would have been a whole half block. So I went all the way to that corridor, all the way down. There was no doors, no windows. There was nothing in this corridor. She had nowhere to go. And I'm like, okay. So I was a little freaked out. I'll be honest. I was a little freaked out. First time I had seen that downtown when I was working down there. So I get upstairs, and then of course the elevator was wonky. So then that freaked me out. And I got upstairs, and I'm up there, and my boss later came in, and I said, you are never going to believe what I saw this morning. She goes, oh, did you finally see the Victorian lady? And I was the only one that didn't know about this Victorian lady. And I'm like, well, yep, I did, so it was.
That's great.
It was a great experience. It was the one time I ever saw her, but I do actually see full apparitions, like how I look at people, because I can. Sometimes I see it in my mind's eyes. Sometimes I hear it, because my two clairs that are very prevalent are my clairvoyant and my clairaudient. But I can do the other two clairs also. And I tell you, it's amazing when we can work with the spirits, and when you're working with people who are seeing something from the first time. As you know, Renee, we can ease their fears. And that's so important, that we're easing their fears, because there's nothing to be afraid of. Yeah. Well, I don't want to say that. For the most part, there's nothing to be afraid of. They might start chucking pebbles at you and stuff if you're in a place.
And I don't have these stories in my book, but I have since heard stories from people about ghosts pushing them downstairs.
Oh,
which that is a little scary. But I don't know of anyone ever killed by a ghost. So.
Oh, no. And I want to say hello. There's a few people that have jumped on. You briefly came across the screen. So hello, Gina. Hello, Lynn, Jenny, Bonnie, everybody that is jumped on. And if I've missed anybody else, I mean, I'm sorry because it kind of goes really quick. So I don't see all your names, but we love it that you're joining.
Yeah.
If you have any questions or comments, do not hesitate to jump on and chit chat with us. We would love that. If you have questions or stories. And really quick, I'm going to let you know this coming weekend, if you guys are really intrigued about what Renee and I are talking about, I encourage you to come down to Midwest Witchery and Healing at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. I am doing a workshop. It's called Mediumship, Walking Beyond the Veil. And I can teach you how you can do this too. Every single one of us has been born with these abilities. We've been taught to shut them down, right, Renee?
Yeah. We all have some psychic ability. And you can hone your ability with help from people like Jodi here. So
yes, and I would love to teach you how to do it. You can go to my website, which is www.midwestwitcheryhealing.com, and Miss Kelly, who's in our background, the person behind the curtain, don't look at the Wizard of Oz. She'll put up the website here at the bottom, and you can just click on there, click under events and classes, and you can sign up for it. We do have room for it. I do, if it's okay, Miss Renee, Lynn, Lynn, she's one of my readers here at the shop, and I do want to send out a heartfelt, sincere condolences to her. She lost her mom this morning.
Oh,
so Lynn.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
We love you. I'm gonna choke up. I'm so sorry. She's become kind of like my work sister. So, I know that this has been a really hard week for her. So we are all here with you. And Mom is doing good. Mom's with Dad, and I just need you to know that because before you even reached out, I knew she had gone. Like I had talked to you yesterday, but she's with Dad, and believe it or not, she's with your brother, and your brother. Your brother is kind of, I don't know how to explain it, but he's kind of like reverted back to being a little kid, and he's actually kind of comical. He's very sorry for a lot of stuff that has happened throughout his lifetime, which I'll talk to you about in a private session. But I just want you to know he's coming across as a little kid, like at about age 10 years old. And I'm just that playful energy. So just so you know that. Bonnie has got a question or has a statement, and I will talk about it. Yes, we a couple of years back, I was with my friend Bonnie. We were over in Colorado at the famous Stanley Hotel. And we were staying on the 4th floor, and I didn't know a lot about it except for it was in The Shining. So the 4th floor was deemed as where the nannies would be with all the children. And I was in bed, and I think Bonnie was in the shower. Jenny's off doing Jenny things. She takes pictures and does all sorts of stuff. And I'm laying in bed, and I'm just chilling. And I hear this, "Mommy." The hell? Of course I got up. There's nobody there. Go to the door. There's nobody down the corridor because we were the only people up on the 4th floor because they were doing some construction in the building. And I want to say Jenny had she was out doing like paranormal investigation in the building, and she was actually in a different area. I think we were out to dinner or something like that, and she was out just doing her thing, and she actually got shoved. She has a tendency of getting pushed here and there. So, you can, the energies are so different all over the place. You know what I mean? It's amazing how even what you've heard from your story is that you have put into this lovely book. Different people have different experiences. Some can be scary. Some can be very heartfelt and loving and warm. Other ones can just be surprising, not scary, not necessarily loving and warm, but just kind of weird and just like unsettling maybe is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, that's a good description.
Yeah. So tell us, I know that we're going to be pushing close to time here, but I do want everybody to know this is a wonderful book. It's called Collecting Spirits, and then it's Life with Ghosts, Guardians and Guides.
Yeah, Life with Ghosts, Guardians and Guides.
Yes. And if you come into Midwest Witchery and Healing, I got a special thing for you. If you come here to pick up Miss Renee's book, I may or may not have them autographed. So definitely, pop on in. And if you do not live in the area, you can get this, I believe, on Amazon, correct, Renee?
Yeah, Amazon and Barnes and Noble. If you go to my website,
Yeah.
which is collectingspiritsghosts.com, you can order directly from there at, your choice of place. But it's better to buy them from Midwest Witchery if you're in town in Stillwater. So,
but if you're not, that's okay. You get the book wherever you can. And Renee, tell us a little bit. Tell us about your website, how we can find you, how we can follow you out on social media.
Yeah, you can follow me at. Well, actually, you can just follow me through my Renee Marie Valois. I have more followers on that, but I also have one that's a Collecting Spirits site. Let me grab. I don't have it in front of me. But anyway, the best place to go is actually the website, because I do update that regularly. I put on there any events that are going on, like this one I put on there. I add a new ghost story every week, like I said. I also have a media section, so past interviews on the radio, reviews in the paper, whatever, are also on there accessible. So it's collectingspiritsghosts.com. So you just go to that, and everything you want to know pretty much will be there. But I am also on Facebook, so you can look for Renee Marie Valois or Collecting Spirits on Facebook and on Instagram as well. But yeah, collectingspiritsghosts.com is probably the best.
Renee, aren't you also collecting more stories because you are writing another book?
Everyone keeps asking me if I'm going to do a sequel. I tell them if the first book does well enough, my publisher will be delighted to do a sequel. If it doesn't, they probably won't want to. It's not self-published. It is through a publisher. So they have to be making enough money. But everyone's already asking me, are you going to do a sequel? So that's probably a good sign. I am collecting lots of stories. Yes.
That's good. Well, Miss Gina has got a little thing here. She says, a long time ago, I lived in a house where a lady had passed away, and she would touch you and change the TV channel. And then during the certain times, we would even have to change it back before you could, get back to your seat. She'd flip it back over to whatever she wanted to watch to see her show. We see a lot of that, don't we, Renee? A lot with electronics, with your lights going on and off, or TV channel, or static, like you can't get your electronics to work. My favorite thing is keys. Your keys go missing.
Oh, yeah.
You put them down somewhere, and then they get moved somewhere else.
They like to move objects.
Oh,
they do like to move objects. That takes more energy because they're pure energy. That's why they can do the electronics so easy. The lights off and on, the TV off and on. I see that in our house because we definitely have ghosts coming through with some frequency. So that's easy for them to do.
What do you feel about when you've done the research with this? What do you feel about people talk about portals? So what do you feel on that?
My understanding, and I do believe it's true, is if there's an extreme violence or abuse or emotion in a place, negative emotion, that can blow open a portal in a house. Or if really negative, violent things have happened in a house, that can blow open a portal. Then you can have a lot of ghosts or entities coming through, which is not something you necessarily want. That's a little too much. We definitely don't have a portal in our house. It's just some ghosts coming through. It doesn't feel like that extreme. So
I have the what I call a spiritual highway that comes through my house. I've got this beautiful tapestry above my fireplace, and it starts like in my entryway, and it literally goes through the tapestry, and they stay there. And I love to use the analogy from the old movie Finding Nemo. And it's like, hey, we're going to have a great jump today, where the turtles like fly off, through the channeling. And I feel like that's what it is. So they're kind of constantly going, and I can feel it. I can feel the vibration. And my house is very well protected. By all means, I don't have any crazy business. But every once in a while, we get a bloop, 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 and somebody falls off. And I scared the living daylights out of my husband a couple of years ago, because as I'm laying in bed, you're in your slumber, sideways, and I opened my eyes, and I am not even kidding you. There was a colonial, I'm going to call him the colonial gentleman, the whole white wig thing. And he's like looking at me, and he's like, hi. And I'm just like, and I jumped up. I screamed. My husband's like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, never mind. You won't believe the thing I say.
It's just a ghost. Just a ghost.
Just a ghost. It's fine. And he was just like, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to startle you. Because I don't know where I am. And I'm like, well, where do you want to be? And he goes, I want to go back to, where he was going. So I just kind of helped him on his way, and it was fine. But, I have that happen, and being in Stillwater, a lot of stories.
Oh, yeah.
And you've felt it. You've been here.
Yes,
the vibration.
Yes. Stillwater. I love the feeling. My whole house is full of antiques. I actually love the feeling of the energy of the past and the people and stuff. Some people are bothered by that, but I like it.
I like it too. But it's my norm. It's my daily life.
Yeah.
And it's like when people ask me about it and they get to feel it. For me, what I love the most about that is they get a sense of what I go through on a daily basis. And I can help them to understand it, to realize, so that they realize you've got the ability to. And that's just such a wonderful thing, that they can go, wow, I really do. And you just got to work with it. You just got to work with it. You'll get there. But yeah, so many places, like you think about hospitals and you think about, the institutions back in the 40s and, way back when people were being institutionalized and, electric shock and all the stuff, inappropriately for mental health disorders, depression, and gosh, in this day and age, you gotta worry about it, that it might get a little bit more scary. I got my hair was pulling, sorry. That, this day and age, some of the stuff you hear out there, you're worried about some of this craziness coming back these days. And all we can do is just, help the spirits, let them know they're in a safe place, or that we can help them move on if they want to, or just let them be,
we can coexist.
Yes. A lot of people ask me, what if they do, should we leave out an offering for them? And I'm like, well, that's kind of up to you. Every house, everywhere you live has got what I call a house spirit that's going to kind of guide and protect you. Yeah. Leave out something for your house spirit. Now that is not a human spirit. This is more of an entity. It's an energy of your home, a safety, a haven. And it's going to give you guidance and protection. But as you know, Renee, all these lovely little spirits out there, I mean, they've got all their own stories.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah, they
and
do.
A lot of them, they just want to be what? They want to be heard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're excited if you recognize them and say, oh, yeah, I hear you here. I understand it.
Yes.
And if you say, you can lay down the ground rules if there's issues, and just Absolutely. Like what you would with a regular roommate, like I have sometimes.
Well,
like,
and you have to.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that, because this, for those ones that are a little bit more touchy feely, you got to tell them, no, hands up, no, you can't touch me.
Yeah, don't touching me. And I did tell a story in the book about a guy who every time he'd come in his kitchen, every cupboard door would be open, everything would be open. Wow. It was driving him crazy. He finally said, "Boy, it really would be nice if the cupboard doors would stop opening." And they listened to him, and they stopped opening up the cupboard doors. So if they're reasonable, yay, they'll listen to a lot of things.
Exactly. Well, again, everybody, I want to thank Renee. Please get your copy of Collecting Spirits. Okay, I got to get Life with Ghosts, Guardians, and Guides. I'm trying to turn it. I'm really bad at turning it the right way. It's a fantastic book. I actually really, I really loved it, because the stories in here are very heartfelt. You really took the time to listen to the people and just get their stories out to the real world and help those that are afraid. And I think this is a great book to help people not be afraid of death, because you guys, it's just a transition. It's just a transition into a different life form. We're all energy, and we just move, But again, Collecting Spirits, ghosts.com. For more information with Renee, to find out where she's going to be. We will definitely get her back in again this summer, maybe like at the end of the summer. I'd love to have you back to do another book signing, and when we get close to the spooky season. Great. And again, you guys, if you have questions or you want to learn more about mediumship, please look me up at midwestwitcheryhealing.com, www.midwestwitcheryhealing.com, which is on the bottom here. Look up that classes and events and join us this Saturday. It's going to be a fantastic class. And I want to thank you again, Renee, for taking time out of this beautiful day today to share your stories. Any final parting words for us, my dear?
I would say don't ever be afraid of ghosts. Don't be afraid of them. They're just people without bodies.
This is true. Yep. That's very, very true. They are just as much alive. And for all of you loved ones out there that, want to know, everybody asks me, is my mom okay? Is my dad okay? Whomever it is, they're doing great. But what you need to know is speak out loud. You can speak out loud. They can hear you.
Yes.
Absolutely
Yes.
can hear you. You may not hear them back right away, but they can hear you. So say the words you want to say. If
Yeah.
you didn't get that chance to say goodbye, go ahead and do it now. Or if you didn't get the chance to say, I'm sorry, or, whatever it was, or I wish I would have taken more time with you, take the time now. Heck, I invite my mom all the time to come with me on my vacation. She comes with me to Hawaii. She's sitting on the beach with me having a cocktail. It's fantastic. They will come with you. They will be with you.
Yeah. I definitely speak to my relatives too.
Yes, absolutely. I encourage every single one of you to do that. All right. Well, you guys, we are coming up here at 7:38. So we have, definitely done our time. I want to say a big thank you. And any last questions from anybody out in the audience before we head off? I don't know. Miss Kelly, what do you think? Is there anybody there that I can't see?
I think you guys did amazing. And it was really fun to be DJ. So, no, you had some great interaction. I think it was a great show, and we'll close it up. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Bye.
Elevate your consciousness with each issue of the Edge magazine delivered straight to your doorstep. Immerse yourself in a community of curious teachers and seekers dedicated to the collective growth and understanding. Each glossy edition is a portal to expand awareness, featuring the latest in metaphysical and holistic products, services, events, and books. Let our engaging articles and comprehensive practitioner directory guide you on your journey towards higher consciousness. With every issue, raise your vibration and deepen your connection to the universe, one enlightening read at a time. Subscribe today at edgemagazine.net/subscribe and embark on a transformative exploration here, there, and everywhere.